The 2025 Nations Cup from Gran Turismo 7 has officially concluded, and we went out with a bang. This race was incredible, y'all. I loved everything about it. Personally, this was my favorite race, my best race of my Gran Turismo playing. And I'll spoil it for you, I didn't even win. But this race had it all, and it proves why Gran Turismo is on top. We were at Lake Maggiore, 29 laps in the Group 3 cars with soft tires only. This race had everything, y'all. I'm excited to break it down for you. My name's Gary with CTY Customs Racing. Let's get into the action. Alright, here we go. 7th on the grid. I'm on the left-hand side. Not the best place to be. You really want to be on the right side. It sets you up better for these first couple turns. You see the GTR there. Great start. Couple positions automatically. Now everyone's really bunched up. This is a slow turn. It's really kind of awkward with this many people. You can see I made contact with that driver. I was turning right. I think they were turning left, trying to avoid some traffic. In any case, the contact caused them to spin out. I don't know if this was really necessary, but I felt compelled to wait for them. And here they go. They passed me by. I don't know if that was necessary. Maybe it was overdoing it, but it did feel like the right move in the moment. But I'm 30 seconds in, I have front end damage, and now I'm in last place. Okay, we jumped to lap 3. MT and I have been pretty close the last few laps. Heading into this really awkward right-hander. I hate this turn, it's impossible to get dead right. But heading into that, I can see down the straight, there's a huge group of cars, and you can see them on the radar. Everyone's really still pretty closely bunched together, and I think that's going to work in our favor. But coming into this awkward hairpin, yellow flag, I can see there's a bimmer off here. We're going to jump to see what kind of happened there. Onboard Brandon. A lot of folks here. He kind of got on the inside of this guy, made some contact. Whether or not it's intentional, it's hard to say. But anyways, if we back up, he did get that 4-second penalty, but there we go. First overtake there. P14 into the S's. Nose to tail with MT. Another yellow flag. I can see off to the right, defunk. Something happened there. He got functified. And down this back straight, I know that MT's going to serve a penalty here, which he does. There he goes. And before you know it, I've made up 3 places and into Big Bend. Okay, into lap 3. Into lap 4. Brandon makes an inside move there into T1. The Lexus hesitates a little bit, ends up going too deep into the corner, overcorrects coming out, pushes me way too wide into T2. I don't think that was aggressive, or maybe not intentional, but definitely throws him off his line a little bit, and that's so important in this section. You really got to nail the line, because you can see his entry and exit into the next turn. Not beneficial. Now at this point I'm kind of hesitating. I'm really not sure if he's going to go defensive or not. I hold my line. He ends up missing the braking point, goes way too deep. I'm able to slide in underneath, and now I'm chasing down Brandon heading into the S's. Okay, we jump to lap 5, still chasing Brandon into Big Bend. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars at least that I can see. We're all bunched up. I mean, this is still pretty tight racing now. Coming out of this last section here, this is an embarrassing moment, but I'm going to share it anyway. I'm not a perfect driver, never claimed to be. But coming out of this final turn here, you really want to carry some speed. I pushed it a little too hard. Oh yeah, just jumped the curb there. Car to wall. Let's see if we can get another angle here. Yeah, side shot. Let's see this. Ooh, yeah, that's not so sexy. Let's get one more here. Maybe we'll put... This one deserves slow-mo. Oh yeah, there we go. Very nice. I ended up not losing a position though, so let's jump to lap 6. Alright, heading into T1, lap 6. I can see Brandon up ahead. Here he is once again, mixing it up. Stirring the pot. Mr. Brandon, you're stirring the pot. Now he's mixing it up with these guys. Now's a good time to talk about tire strategy. This race, you're only using the soft tires. They will burn out. You have to settle down, measure everything. And that's not to say you don't push. You know when to push, but you also know when to hold back. And he gained a few positions, I'll give him that. But he's also putting a lot of stress on his tires, and I believe that's going to end up playing a huge role later in this race. This race is all about pacing yourself, keeping clean, and avoiding shenanigans. And speaking of shenanigans, we got Diablo off there to the left. And as we fast forward a little bit, this is at the end of lap 6. This tricky section here, the Bimmer's got it all wrong here. The GTR kind of gets on the inside of him, pushes him out a little bit wide, and now he's kind of compromised coming into this last section. I've already mentioned how important this turn is. So coming into it, the Bimmer misses the plot. I'm able to gather a position really quickly, and you'll notice behind, or at least on the left, DJ Space, he ends up pitting lap 7. That's going to be a big factor heading into the rest of the race. So now coming up here on Neo, he takes a super wide line going into that second turn. Nearly took my nose off, but he pretty much did that every time. I was prepared for it. But coming into the end of lap 8, chasing down Neo still. Now here's a name I want you to remember, Toast Malone. Currently in P7, I'm going to gather their position. Now I'm in P8. And he's lost 2 positions. That name will come back. Don't forget it. Alright, P9. Still chasing down Neo. He goes a little bit too deep on that awkward hairpin. I think I've got better tires than him. Now this is where I struggle, y'all. I'm nearly side by side. I might have been able to send it. I don't. I end up getting caught behind him. He's going super slow. Compromises me through the S's. I just don't know how to handle those situations, y'all. I could really use some help on that. Any feedback you have is really, really helpful. But I'm able to stay on him and heading down towards Big Bend. Although I'm not really side by side. I do feel like I have the advantage. So late on the brakes, on the inside, clean as a whistle. P7. Okay, here's my out lap. Now coming into T1 after pitting here, you notice, hey, DJ Space. And speaking of space, I give him plenty on T2. But this was the dude that pit and lap 7, which, at the time, who knows what their tires are looking like. But again, that's all part of what makes this race really unique, is you have different tire strategies, different timing strategies for your pit stop. I can look now and see, yes, his tires were a little bit more worn than mine. I felt like they were. I felt like this was a good opportunity to make up a position, and I got a good run into the S's, coming down towards Big Bend, and at this point he goes a little bit defensive. It pushes me out a little bit, but we're side by side going into Big Bend. I try to cut back. We're able to keep it clean. Now we're still side by side. I'm unable to officially make the overtake, but I'm side by side heading into that final section, and the right side is really where you want to be because everything will set itself up. So as we go into this final section, able to kind of keep it defensive and true to form, like we really kept it clean there. There was nothing to be concerned about in that, and he gave it up and I took it. Now, heading into this last turn, another critical moment you can see taking it as I was flipping to reverse. Yeah, tire's gone. He did that same jump move. We've all done it. Okay, into lap 13. Fast forward a little bit here. I'm chasing down Defunk and Morales ahead of them. Now, here's where it gets interesting because a lot of people are now on completely different strategies with their tires. Defunk's missed the braking point. I was able to grab a position there, P8, and then we'll see where we're at with Morales. Later on in that lap here, I just wanted to point out, again, the battling and just how, the kind of constant back and forth really slows you down and it affects your tire wear overall. Not to call out anyone specifically, I'm not talking or throwing shade on anyone, But, Brandon was super aggressive throughout the entire race. And here you can see I was able to catch up to them. And in addition to being slower, it's also putting his tires at a disadvantage. And I think that helped me long term. All right, up into the S's. You can see they're still battling. And in fact, everyone's slowing down. I'm thinking I might be able to make up 2 or 3 spots here. End up colliding with Morales right here. There wasn't really anywhere I could go. That was a tough move right there. I got some damage. Hoping to really make a position or 2 out of that. But Morales does serve a penalty. So I'm able to squeeze by into P7. And again, chasing down Brandon C. Okay, lap 15. Coming into that first section here. Now, Brandon again gathered a position here from Burkhold. And, I'll say it again. Managing your tires, not fighting, keeping it smooth, keeping it clean. Such a huge part of this race. Going off-road, not good for those tires. Let's fast forward a little bit. Okay, coming out of the S's. You see Brandon holding a slight margin here, but he serves a penalty. I'm able to take that position. I'm up to P6 now. And notice here Morales, out of nowhere, almost collides with me. No damage, no harm done, but a near miss on that one. Now, lap 16 here, I'm able to make the move on Burkhold. I mean, this was a little dicey here. Able to stay, but Burkhold's end up losing 2 places. I call it a clean move. I had 2 wheels on the track. It's all good. But boom, a little push by Brandon. Boom, there's another push by Brandon. But again, I'm just trying to stay in my lane, race my race. I got 4 laps until I pit. I want to use these tires to the most. Now lap 16, coming out of lap 16 into 17, I've got a half-second penalty. This is a critical moment in the race, and it's a lesson for all you kids out there. Brandon's got the speed. I let him go. I lift off the throttle going into T1. Why? Because I want to save my tires. It's not worth it for me to constantly jockey with this dude. I end up giving him the place. I also have the penalty. There's no reason for me to really duke it out with this dude. Fast forward to lap 20. This is essentially my in lap. Same kind of situation. I've got now Toast Malone. Clearly faster than me. I'm on worn tires. Let the dude go. Fighting with him constantly is not going to help anything. That's not to say, you can be defensive when you need to be. You can push when you want to. But for me in this race, I knew there were times when I had to check it. Lap 21. Here's where it gets really interesting. Coming out of this really weird section at the end of the race or lap here, and I can see Brandon C in the pits. Now, I don't know the timing quite, so I'm really not sure if I'm going to be able to pass him while he's in the pits. So heading down this front straight, still unsure. At this point, if I don't see him coming out, I know I've gained a position. So there it is, P5. I've got Brandon behind me. Finally, giving him that position ended up helping me because I was able to stay smooth, stay clean, ended up gaining the position anyway. And he's still there. Yeah, he's chasing me down, but at a greater distance. Here's lap 22. This was another critical moment in the race. Same section. So coming into that last few turns, boom, Toast Malone in the pits at the same time Brandon C was in the pits. Now I'm feeling like, hey, I've got the timing just right. I'm going to be able to pass Toast Malone while they're in the pits. Again, staying in my lane, not pushing, not getting crazy. I think giving up 2 positions ended up giving me 2 positions. And lap 23, I'm in P4. And here we are, lap 23, my best lap, fastest lap of the race. You can see 156.7. I was 1/1000th off of the fastest lap up to that point. But if we fast forward a little bit here to lap 28, this is where it really got crazy. So you see Toast Malone set a new fastest lap, and by this point they had caught up to me almost entirely. Now they were within a second for the last couple of laps and definitely pushing. They're on fresher tires, but here we go into the last turn, and you know this turn has plagued so many people here. You can see in the background Toast Malone did the boot scooting boogie and still moving, but hey, that's enough time and enough space that if I don't completely bottle it, I've got P4 in the bag. And you know what? That's good for me. Let's fast forward. Lap 29, P4. What an amazing race. I loved everything about this race. And for those of you that may have noticed Toast Malone lost the position here, let's back up. A little replay action. Final lap, going into T2. We've all done this. So he overcooks it a little bit and facing the wall. Yeah, not good. And Brandon ends up coming by and cleaning up his leftovers. But all told, there was some aggressive driving, but nothing dirty. This race was amazing. I think Polyphony nailed it with this type of concept. The strategy was insane because it didn't involve just necessarily choosing when to take a medium or a soft or whatever tire, where everyone kind of follows the same strategy. Managing the tires and forcing drivers to consider the tire wear really shuffled the deck in terms of the strategy. So if you ended up pushing too hard, if you got too aggressive, or your car choice was poor on tires, it would mean that you would have to pit at different times than your competitors. So it's an interesting way of looking at strategy. It really made a huge difference in this race. It kept things interesting for me. And all told, I think the biggest lesson that I got out of this was that when you give a few positions up, sometimes you get a few in return. I'm Gary with CTY Customs Racing. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Comment, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, tell me what you'd like to see. I love this stuff. It's all the drama and excitement, and I hope you do too. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.